here we are once again. Did I just lost the lane? So I guess something's going on internet wise because she was just here just a second ago. But it is that time for Comic Book Spectrum here. I'm trying to track down people as we speak. And yeah, her internet just crashed here. So I think she's watching on her phone here. But nevertheless, we are here. I don't know what we're going to end up doing if everything is not going to be hunky dory for everybody. And just reading what's going on here. But hopefully, everybody is having a great Thursday. I know I'm trying to. Outside of that, I think this is a off week for Cliff here because I didn't see anything here saying that he wouldn't be here. But nevertheless, we got a couple of things here. So she said, so Elaine said that she would be back on if she can here. So we're going to give it a couple of moments here. And she said, I'm just sitting here waiting because, oh, she didn't know that you could use StreamYard on the phone. It's like, yeah, actually you can. It's not preferred. It's not preferred, but yes, you could actually. She actually should be able to use StreamYard. Well, she's saying that she can't use StreamYard on this particular phone, which is perfectly okay. What we were going to talk about here is like we had the good time at C2E2, at least Elaine and myself here. Cliff was doing his fatherly duties at that point during last weekend. Had a whole bunch of sales and everything, and just enjoying the vibe as a whole. But saying all that to say that it is what it is for right now, and not certain how much more to really go into because I'm trying to save some of this stuff for this Saturday because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. And to give you kind of like a heads up of what we're going to talk about on Saturday, we're going to do the recap of C2E2, my likes, my dislikes, things that are going on, stuff to that magnitude. We're not going to have a rant, but we're going to talk about one of the things that is bothering me right now about what's getting reported out there on the comic book scene dealing with slabbing per se. Oh, there she is.
I'm
there
back.
she is.
Our internet all of a sudden out of nowhere went
Mm-hmm.
we was gone.
It's up here like, oh, it's about to get to. It's like, aha.
Just like
we're getting used to the rain.
Yeah, where are you tonight? We was gone.
But as I was telling people, it was like, you and I was at C2E2. It was like some good vibes that were there and everything here. And now she's back in the chat talking to people.
Actually, I was trying to see if Cliff was going to be on. I thought he would be here by the time I popped back in. So I was just sending him a quick, are you with us tonight? But, hey guys, sorry. C2E2 was interesting. I was a little ill, but it wasn't anything contagious because no one in my house is ill but me. So, and then got con crud because that's just what happens, and I'm 65. We're more susceptible. But it was fun. It was interesting. And I sold some books. I actually sold a few copies of And the Coming of Nighttime Book 1. And I sold a few copies of The Enslaved. And I met some interesting people. You should go to my Facebook page and check out my People of the Con post because I didn't take as many pictures.
Fun with.
I didn't take as many pictures this year as I have in the past, but that was because I kind of changed my policy. I did not. Oh, okay. Sorry. Sorry. Uh, Cliff was back. He was asking a question, Joe. Sorry. But anyway,
Why does
yeah.
everybody want me to be a father out of the blue?
But anyway, speaking of parenthood, I changed my policy this year. I did not take pictures of children. Anyone 17 and under, I did not take their picture, whether they were accompanied by an adult or not. Um, and that was because some things that came out this year about a company that took kids pictures at school, and my page is public. And I'm a parent. I've raised two sons. And, I just, the idea that somebody might look on my page and look at a child and, I just, that hurts me to my heart. So I just decided I wouldn't do that this year. And I explained to parents, and even when there were kids who were they were old enough to be at the con by themselves because they came in groups, but too young for me to take pictures of. Most of them got it, and I gave them candy anyway. So it's not like I just went, "Ah, go away." We only had one kid that we did not give candy to, because our policy was also, if it's a small child and they come and try to get candy, it's, you have to have a parent's permission, because the last thing you want to do is give a piece of candy to a child and the parent hasn't looked at it, and that child may have an allergy, and the kid's not thinking about what they're allergic to. They're just thinking of, ooh, candy, you
Hmm.
know I want to grab it. And we put a sign in front of the bowl that said pose for candy 18 plus. And we had a couple of adults walk and just grab candy, didn't want to pose. And we had a situation, and I want to tell you this, parents, if you let your kid, okay, because we had like a kid, he had to be around 7 or 8 years old, walked up to the table, grabbed candy, and Courtney gently took him by the arm and said, you have to have a parent's permission, and you don't, where's your mom? While this was going on, the mom, who was about 10, 12 feet away from us,
Hmm.
turns around and starts yelling, how dare you grab my child, you take your hands off him. She doesn't not once stop and go, well, why is he 12 feet away from me at this table? Because that said less about us and more about the fact that as a parent, she was too caught up in looking at all the shinings to even know where her kid was. And when you have a kid that small and they're running around and you don't know the people at the con, he was lucky that he stopped at our table and we were like, nope, nope, you can't have candy without a parent. And we, at least Courtney was holding his arm so that
Not
she could
not
turn
not
around and
not
yell at
not
us.
faking him, not anything. Just
We didn't
gently,
yell at
grabbed
him.
his hand. It was like holding his hand, just
Yeah,
barely gently. And the mother was should be glad that it did not catch my attention, because as the booth owner, I could be like, let me get a showrunner over here for you could be escorted out the building.
I had for a second or so considered it, but it's like, you know what? I can choose to be the bigger person here.
Well,
Courtney let the boy
again,
go when he ran to his mom, but I'm thinking, and I get it, she reacted with anger at us because the reality was she didn't want to have to admit that the reason her kid was 12 feet away from her was because she wasn't doing her job as the parent. And for some people, rather than admit that they're wrong, they will turn that embarrassment and that sense of guilt into anger at the
hmm
other party. How dare you? It's like, and it's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to keep my temper because I'm a black woman and this is a white chick. And if I got up and addressed her the way I was feeling right now, she'd be the one screaming to the floor runners that I was abusing her.
no, I would have. Like I said, she's lucky I didn't say nothing, because technically Your kid came to my booth and took something off our booth
Off the
without
table.
permission. That is grounds to being kicked out here. You have the nerve to come at any one of my staff members saying, "Hey, get your hands off my kid." It's like not once have you said, "Did he do anything?
And
Was he in the wrong for doing something?"
I was thinking, 15, 20, 30 years ago, a kid running around a con, and what they said 100,000 people came through C2E2 this year.
A little bit more than that, a little bit more than 100,000.
But you get what I'm saying? Nobody would have let their kid. And the first thing, if I was thinking when I was a kid, if we'd had those conventions and my mom had taken me, she would have never. And I just ran at a table. It would have been, child, you better get your butt over here. And the first thing she would have said, I'm sorry, did she take anything?
Mm-hmm.
Did she damage anything? It's like, do I need to give you money to cover what my child destroyed?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, it was, take your hand off him. How dare you put your hand on my child? And it's like, what if he'd have grabbed one of the books? What if he'd have snatched, we had stuff. He grabbed candy, but he could have grabbed the comic. There were things he could have done. And instead of, and the thing is, she didn't even come over.
Nope.
She didn't even
Didn't
come
come
over.
over.
She
Didn't
yelled.
do anything. And then that's where I was up here. My mindset was, you're blessed that it was just a piece of candy, because if it was anything else, I would have been like, you need to get away from our booth right here and right now, because like people don't know, I got people on speed dial on my cell phone. I could call up a showrunner right then and right there and be like, we have a situation over here.
But I guess what bothered me was another, what, 6 to 10 feet forward of their position was that shop where they had tteokbokki and the different potato chips and all the Japanese stuff. And my first thought was, great, she's going to turn around and quit paying attention to him again, and then he's going to grab something. And then there's going to be real problems, because what if he eats something that he's allergic to?
Or
Before
even worse,
somebody noticed this
that
and they
same booth
stopped
had the people dressed up as Pokemon, and he
and they
goes
had
over
the
there
kids.
and start playing around with them and start getting in the way.
Or he gets knocked down because he's in the way, and the person in the costume, because he's so small, doesn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
Because those costumes, you can only see so much. And
Mm-hmm.
this kid was just barely the height of our table, just a little taller than that. So he was, to the guy who was doing I think he was the Raichu. It was the Pikachu or the Raichu they were doing, switching off for
One I
it.
know, the Pikachu or the Eevee. I can't remember which one.
Oh, the Eevee. They were both tall enough where they would not have seen this child unless they bent over. And the way this little kid was scooting in and out, they could have got underfoot in a second, and it could have gone badly. It was, I was thinking, this is a horror story in the making. And my first hope was, okay, hopefully this shocked her enough to realize, okay, I need to keep a hold of you. Because I'm sure, because she must have been there, which I think she was there with a girlfriend or something. And it's like you're treating the kid as like a fashion accessory, because you're
Mm-hmm.
not paying attention to the child.
Again, she was so enthused about, oh, what Pokemon cards they got, that the child walked away.
He walked away, or because I think they went past us and he stopped and she kept going.
Well, she didn't walk past us. She went around the corner to the other side of the booth looking at the cards. And she was so focused in on the cards that he just walked.
But that's just it. She didn't notice he was gone. And that scared me. because it's like they, like I said, they were lucky he stopped at our table. He could have stopped somewhere else. I the first con I was there with you, I
Hmm.
ran into a young man who I offered to be his safe space. At the time, he was asking if I would stand by him because he'd lost contact. He had a friend
Hmm.
who was late getting there, and they were each other's safe person. And he was saying, "Yeah, it's assault by guys who come to mess with the cosplayers is not unheard of.
Hmm.
Especially if they're big guys." And there were those people. What you have to understand is there are people who come to the cons, especially now. C2E2 serves beer, so
Well,
you have,
most shows serve alcohol now.
yeah. So you've got people who come. They don't care about the comics or the shows or any of that. And considering what it costs to get in, I wonder why they show up. They come in, they get beers, and you see them. They have a particular walk and they have an attitude. It is one of disdain. They look on everybody's tables with disdain. They look at they look on the cosplayers with disdain. They're walking around with their little beers, and most of them come for the wrestling. I hate to say it. I see a lot of them with the wrestling belts and stuff, and they look at the rest of the con as if somehow we're the problem with their lives, you know.
And
And
what's weird in my case, they look at my wrestling book, they point, they giggle, and then they walk off.
yeah, and you kind of want to go smack them. It's like, what you want to ask them, why are you here? Because you see
Actually, I
you
don't
see
ask
them.
them that. I just don't. I don't even think it's just like, why are you wasting your time? It's like, just go to where you want to be at, and just go from there.
Go to your little corner with all the other people like yourself, but walking around and then standing off and making snide remarks about the cosplayers or what we have and stuff. That's
The booths of all the other stuff that is not of the genre of what you want.
Don't mess with it. Leave it alone. You know,
Not
believe
once
me,
have one of them
nobody's
have came over and asked me if I was a true wrestling fan and tried to talk wrestling with me.
no. And I always think that is, it's like it's you can see the wrestling stuff. Excuse me. Ask a question. Usually if somebody has a question to ask, oh, what's this about? I will get up and come around and talk to them. Because I'm short and you can't see me above the stage.
Mhm.
So I'll get up and come around and explain it. Or somebody comes around on my side of the table. Hey, what's going on? It's like, well, there's two different companies here. And I explain, the things we do. And it's not that hard. And I get it. There have been times when I've gone to cons and the joke was that when they would depending on who would do the advertisements, like, beware the infamous dealer's room, as if it was some really horrible place to go when everybody was out to cheat you,
Mhm.
which I think um is a bad thing, especially since so much of the con this day is the dealer's room. The dealer's room used to be a small, most cons used to be a small section. Now we have a huge
We
section.
have we have most of the exhibit floor
Yeah,
on the west side of the building.
they have a couple of stages, and the days of the booth babes pretty much over.
No,
Yeah.
they're still around. They're still around, but they're not as, if I could say, costumed up like they used to be.
Ah, okay.
So you still have them. They still going around. You got people that still cosplay and everything to that magnitude. So it was just like, it's not the same, but it's not the same, but it's kind of sort of the same. But the other thing that I look at too, and I hate to say this, and I have said this several times on, the Saturday show, when it comes to shows like that, I also have to look at the region that we're in. And for some reason, the Midwest is just that way. I have done shows in New York, Philadelphia. I haven't truly exhibit in California, primarily San Diego, but I've been to many San Diego Comic Cons just to get a feel for it. There, the crowds look for things a certain way, but here in the Midwest, it's kind of like one of those things. Like for some reason, it's more like, how can I put this? It's more of an exhibition or a gathering than people really showing their fandom per se. I mean, I could take a look at everything that was there over the last 10 years at C2E2, and it's no longer truly focused in on the comics. It's more focused on the entertainment now.
I
And
get
because it's focused in on more of the entertainment, you're seeing more stuff like the wrestling, the celebrities, TV shows, the gaming taking over more so than anything else here. And like I said, I'm not going to get into a lot of the things that I'm going to say on Saturday, because on Saturday I'm going to talk about, more along the lines like, what would it be like as a collector going into C2E2 this year? And as I was telling certain people, I was disappointed.
there weren't many publishers. There were a lot of comic book dealers
No, there were
around
not a
the
lot of
fair.
comic book dealers either.
There
Not
were
not
some.
true, not true dealers, if I could say
Okay.
in that aspect.
Yeah, I was about to say because Jane Nurse, um, they were not. First Aid was not there this year,
Nope.
and I didn't see him. I was hoping he would get a chance to stop by. I didn't see him, but I actually I saw when I went over because we were 800, and
Hmm.
then I went over by 1,000 and 1,100, and there were comic book dealer stalls there, and I asked about things, and they were looking at me like, one guy had to send me to someone else because he'd never heard of Epic Illustrated. And
Hmm.
I'm like, you're a comic book dealer
You
and you've
see,
never
that
heard of
that's the
Epic
reason why I don't want to
Illustrated?
start that. I don't want to start that conversation
No,
because
but
I got a lot to say.
you
I
know,
have
they,
a lot to say about that.
and guys was, and they were saying, oh, we're only covering these things.
Hmm.
So they were only covering the current crop of comics that were out, and it's
Mm-mm.
or
That's that
and a
was
few
that's a lie.
and a few of them did have had more. There was one guy, he had a lot of golden age stuff.
Hmm.
He did have a lot of golden age stuff. The stuff, but I've noticed the stuff he had distributed at the back of his stall, and the stuff he had the boxes. Like he had the lesser titles in some of the boxes that you could go through,
Hmm.
and then the big ones were at the back. And it's like, okay. And I actually gone there, and that was the one where I asked the guy. I said, I'm looking for Epic Illustrated or 1999, or even if you've got any heavy metal. And he just you then have blank stare people get when you start talking a whole nother language.
Hmm.
And he was like, you have to talk to him. And I turned around, and there was a young guy who I guess owned the stall. And I told him, and he said, oh, we don't carry that here. You have to go to he wanted me to go to his eBay page.
Hmm.
And he said, yeah, but they may not be listed on eBay. And it's like, well, if they're not listed on eBay, why would I buy from
Why?
them?
Why I'm going to your eBay
It's
store?
things
It's
I'm looking for right now. The rest of this I can find from my local comic book shop. You don't have anything that I can't go to my local comic book shop and go and ask James for, and he'll help me find. But I just happen to think, well, I'm here. Let me see if there's anything available that I want. Save myself a trip to Hyde Park. And it's like,
and
nope, I'll just.
that's one of the reasons why I want to talk about it on Saturday, because uh, a friend of this show, I was messaging her. I was like, this is one of the few shows that I was up here saying that it really sucks if you came here to buy comics. It sucked. And the reason I say it sucks because they didn't have anything that was brand new, that was fresh off the shelf, which is usually stuff that they would have there. They didn't. They had a lot of older stuff, but it was marked up.
Yeah, they
And when
were
I say marked up,
really.
we're talking about issues that I would normally get from like auction houses and from certain stores that I know about that sell silver and golden age. It was marked up anywhere between 50 to like $150 in that scale just because you're at the show.
Yeah.
And then there's so few dealers there. None of them really had anything that was between $1 and $5. Most of them did not have anything like that.
No, they didn't have any. They didn't have
And
any
it was like
cheaper
these
things.
shows are really primarily, where are the vendors that had the dollar boxes, the $2 boxes, the 50-cent boxes, because they make a killing. They usually make a killing with those type of boxes because people will flock to them, grab. Eventually, I found two places that I usually get from.
Hmm.
One I think is like what they say is like $3 a piece, $3 a piece, or seven for 20.
Oh, okay. I didn't. I
And then
didn't
the
think I
other
saw
one
him.
is like if you buy from like them, they have like little bitty stickers on it. And if it has the yellow stickers, they're $2 a pop. But they're the only ones that had the more current stuff. Everybody else had what people would consider FOMO or Grail type stuff, and it just like, yeah, there's a problem. That's a major problem. But I'll talk about more about that problem a little bit later. But it sucked because I had people that had like a list of stuff that they was giving me to say, here, if you could find this, if you could find that, if you could find that. I was like, and I looked around, it's like seeing what vendors were there, and it's like, not going to happen.
Yeah, I think next year we need to be closer to Artist Alley. I think it
We're
might
going
do
to try. We're going to try to be closer to Artist Alley because where we're at in the front, it's okay, but the focus is no longer on publishers anymore. The focus is not on the industry, on the comic side of the industry, and I don't see us making sales like we could if we have T-Mobile in the back of us, somebody selling hairpins to the left of us, to the right of us is Pokemon cards, and in front of us is purses.
Yeah, we were
I
kind of in
mean, it's
an.
just like,
What the first con I did with you, we were lucky because to the immediate right of us on either side of the aisle was that company that had all their artists
mm-hmm,
drawing, and
mm-hmm.
that got us a lot of traffic because people were already coming to look and see what the artists were doing, and then they spilled over to us, and that was pretty cool.
and then
um
and then the next year we had the fudge people across the way.
I did not buy any fudge, Leah, just so
And
you
then
know.
this year we had Pokemon cards, and that Pokemon card booth had a lot of people at it, but it
They
has nothing to do with what we're there for.
you know, I'm watching. I don't know, maybe it's C2E2 itself. Maybe we need to look at some other con that's local. I don't know. I don't think what I do would work for Anime Central because that's not my style.
I refuse to do another Anime Central until they change the rules of getting a booth here.
And the one they do at the library is, my stuff is 18 plus. So the one they do at the library.
That's the one that everybody asking me to come to. I was like, when you do 13 plus and you don't really do anything that is kid related.
Yeah, if
And
you're
the
not
thing
doing
about and the thing
17
about it is
under.
that it's like I see things that is like ultra violent that they have there, but they kind of poo poo the stuff that I do because it has women up in it. That's like, okay, it's okay for a grammar school kid or a high school kid to see somebody get shot, but it's another thing for them to see a woman put another woman in a headlock. Okay. I'm not going to argue. That's not. It's not my soapbox to start arguing about stuff like that. But
Yeah,
I leave that type
I'm
of stuff
not dying on
alone.
that hill, but it's like I've been trying to think of, locally C2E2 is about the best we can, at least from my standpoint,
Mhm.
because I can't think of other cons that would work for
Well,
what I do.
Anime Central. I'm still at a war with Anime Central
You know,
until they change the way of how they handle the selection for their booths on their showroom floor. I'm not doing it.
okay, I've never been to Anime Central, so
I have done Anime Central a couple of times here and got pretty much screwed. One time that they messed me over, I learned their policy and I was like, no, you will never get me. You will never get me ever again.
got it.
The way that their selection works is that before you are even considered for a booth, you have to pay for a 3-day pass.
So I've got to give you money just so you'll think about the possibility of kind of considering maybe you might give me a booth.
Exactly. So once you pay for that 3-day pass, you sign up for your booth here. And my whole thing here, and I
So
went
even if
up
you
that
don't get
whole
the
chain
booth,
of command. It's like, if my goal is to sell my product at your show, I don't mind paying for a 3-day pass, but I shouldn't have to pay for that 3-day pass before I get that yay or that nay
yeah,
on the booth here.
I was about to say if
And
my
because
pass
your
is
rules
included.
specifically state I have to pay for that pass, and this is what ended up happening. I ended up giving that pass to somebody else because those passes are non-transferable.
And you
And
can't
that's the
give them
concession
back.
that they made for me. They allow somebody else who was going to be at that show to I could transfer my pass to them, and everything was okay. And at that point, I was like, I'll never do another Anime Central until they change that rule.
Yeah, because
Because
it's like
that rule is ridiculous.
why would I pay for a pass unless I'm going to be at the show? And considering the cost of getting a booth, the passes should come, you get so many passes to go with the size of the booth
No,
that
they
you
don't do it that way.
but that's what I'm saying. If you're going, unless your charge for the booth is exceptionally cheap, you
Which
know,
it's not cheap. It's cheaper in comparison to shows
C2E2.
like C2E2 New York and stuff to that magnitude, but it's not really cheap because you're paying like $150 to $175 for the 3-day pass, and then if you did get a booth there, you're paying and it's been several years, so I'm assuming that you're paying anywhere between $500 to $700 for the booth. So it's about like $850 total, if
But
I'm correct here.
still, if
That's
I'm,
the ballpark figure.
but
That is
still,
before you even think about hotel rooms and all this other stuff here.
making sure you've got enough product with you to sell. Do you have your,
No,
excuse me,
I got more
books,
enough. I
merch,
got more
all of
enough
that?
product and stuff to sell. But the thing about it is, and just to let you know what actually happened, which soured me on this, is that I applied for a exhibitor's booth here, paid for the badges and everything, and then I got placed on a waiting list. Was waiting. Show hits. Heard nothing. It's like, well, since I don't have this, and I was like, since I don't have a booth, can I have can I get my money
Money?
refunded? No.
No. See, that that to me is the big piss off because it's like, oh, I can only apply after I've given you $150. So technically what I'm doing is I'm giving you an application fee that's non-refundable.
and
And
and I
if
have,
you
and it's like, if that's the case here, it's like, no, it's like only your diehards will be there, because I told him, it's like, normally I would not be at a show like this as a regular con goer.
I was about to say, I don't think I'd even want to go now that
And
I
I have
know
been in both sides. I have been
how
a
they
regular
treat.
con goer. I have gone to Anime Central just as a regular person going, and I've been there as an exhibitor too. And I got to the point where I stopped going to anime shows because of the fact that once I was over 21, I saw too much of the stuff that was going on with these 14, 15, 16, and 17-year olds that I was like, oh no, I don't want to be associated with it. I don't want to be around when something went down with these people where somebody be like, oh, you was there, you were above age, now we're going to have to arrest you because this, you had something along the lines of the, I forgot what the term that they use here for, it's not statutory, but it's, because of your age, you're older and wiser.
And you were flirting with somebody much younger?
That just drew me up the wall. It's like that's one of the things that drove me away from anime shows, period. Because it got harder and harder to find people of age that goes to that will stay with people of age. If you get my drift.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there, you're watching these 13, 14, 15, 16-year-olds hurting themselves doing stupid stuff because they sneak into rooms where people of age had alcohol and stuff and they get a hold of alcohol and all this other stuff, and they're jumping off of balconies and doing somersaults and flips off of two-story platforms. I'm like, no, I can't.
Jeez.
And the first thing that I always think about is like, where's these people's parents? Why are these kids' parents not here with them? How in the world is it okay for your 14-year-old to go to this one hotel, get a room with their best friends, and stay there?
A 14.
Without you being around as a chaperone. Without you being around as a chaperone.
You can't even check into a hotel without a chaperone if you're under 17. Okay, I guess maybe you can't.
Again, that's one of the reasons why I don't do it. After what happened with Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and like I said before, you can ask the people who are you can ask the people who are with, because they thought I was going crazy when I told them what I saw. And I was like, nope. If worse comes to worse, we got to pack up and go. It's like, what do you mean? It's like everything's perfectly fine. This, that, and the other. It's like, no, if worse comes to worse, we got to pack up and go. And I told them what I saw.
Dang.
And it was like, no, you crazy, this, that, and the other. And lo and behold, here comes two underage girls dressed in bikinis and everything flaunted out and everything. It's like, it's like, I'm making this up, huh? And it's like, and their jaw just dropped. It's like, we can't be associated with this crowd. We're too old. And it wasn't the fact that they were dressed in bikinis and stuff. It was the fact that somebody had the gall to film it around a pool in that hotel.
Oh man.
And an event that is not associated with the show. I don't care at that point. It was the simple fact that somebody did it.
Yeah.
Any association, whether it be the hotel, the show, and everything, everybody's going down if something major happened.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just cannot deal with anime shows of that magnitude. That's like, no. That is just really plain ridiculous. Now, mind you, Stevens Point, Wisconsin is a college town.
But
even still, it's a college town. The show was ran by college students, but yet you had 13, 14, 15-year-olds around college kids.
Which is not a good, and
it's not a good look.
It's not a good look.
And those who know me, it's like, the Unky Joe came out of me real quick, fast, in a hurry. I was like, nope, we got to pick up, or I'm going to have to end up whooping somebody's ass.
So this is the con from this side of the age gap,
when
guys.
you're on the other side of that table, whether it be an artist alley table or a booth at a dealer's table, you got to be careful of the associations that you have at these shows. You
Yeah.
have to be very careful, and you have to be protective of your property and product at that point.
I also
And
try to be protective of the people.
like I said before, it was four of us that went. One was back in the room sleep, because he was up all night. The other
Well,
two happened to be
that's not
women.
unheard of at
The other two
times.
happened to be women of age, and they looked at me crazy until they saw it for themselves. And I was
And
like,
it,
now you begin to understand why we got to go if worse comes to worse.
yeah,
And they looked at me, it's like, how? It's like, because there's no supervision. None of these kids' parents are here.
there's no oversight.
Because if their parents were here, as soon as they saw dude setting up a camera for a so-called cosplay bikini show, it would have been done. It would have
Yeah,
been done. They would have had dude arrested, because none of these teens and preteens has signed anything to
yeah,
state that they was of age, and
yeah.
dude did not have a right to record.
And didn't have any ID to prove that they were of age, because
Mm-hmm.
that's something you need to be. I'm gonna tell you now before you anybody gets weird little thingies, in their brains. Yeah, you can say,
And
well, she said or they said, and then the next thing you know, here's a high school ID that says they're a freshman. You know, I'm just saying. Your
and
auntie was just
it's
saying,
just
be
like,
careful.
I try to support grassroots type stuff, brand new stuff that they're trying to build up. And that was one of those shows that's like, okay, you building it up from the ground up. It was nice. It was one of the few shows that Artist Alley was 24/7.
Oh,
There
okay.
was no begin or end.
It just started when the con started and ended with the con ended.
No, it started when you show up at the table and wanted to sell your wares, and it ends when you want to, call it a day.
Oh, okay. So if
They
people,
ran stuff 24/7 throughout those 3 days.
okay,
It was
wow.
it was it could have been a virtual gold mine for commissions and stuff like that, especially if you're like a night owl and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I'm up late at night, this, that, the other. Somebody comes up to you, it's like, hey, could you do me this quick little $40 or $50 commission? You work on it, boom, there you go. But saying all that to say, when you see something like that happens, you're like, I gotta break ties with this show. I got to.
Oh, changing subject.
Yes.
Speaking of commissions, he made me do things at the con.
And
Still,
watch, you're going to sell that cover for a lot of money.
I gotta scan. I'm gonna scan it
Mm-hmm.
and put it up on my page. And if anybody's interested in that issue and they want it, they can. I was thinking, well, I could sit there and hold this for a year, or I was thinking, because you also gave me the Wonder Woman one, and I think you gave me two Storms and a Wonder Woman, and
No, I gave
one
you two Wonder Women. I gave you two Wonder Women in one storm.
a Storm and a Wonder Woman. It's like, well, I should probably do, because I was thinking I'd do a Wonder Woman and Nubia on one, and then just Wonder Woman on the other, and I might do classic 1940s one where it's the hot pants.
What, you're
Just
not going to do the bloomers with the ribbon like sandals?
I might, if I can get a good enough shot of something to say, okay, I can work this. But yeah, I was thinking I will do those and then post them on my page.
Mm-hmm.
And then if anybody's interested, they can, excuse me, they can DM me.
Yep.
and we
And this
can
is
work
coming
it
from a
out.
person that says like, "Oh, my storm card won't sell." What happens? The storm card would sell. And it's like,
The storm
do it on a
card
cover. You can
sold.
make more money. No, I don't feel comfortable with
he
it.
he freaked me out. I was showing, it was like, okay, I hope you like this. I did a card of Storm. I did a couple of little um superhero cards. I did Storm, I did Poison Ivy, I did Spider Gwen, and I did Harley Quinn. And we have a funniest. So he's got my Poison Ivy. Um, the funniest thing happened with the Harley Quinn. This little girl, she was so cute. She was dressed as Harley Quinn, and I gave her the card because she was adorable. And but she was also looking kind of scared. She was looking around kind of scared because it was a big space. There were all these people walking around. It was all new to her. So I gave her the card. I was hoping, and I asked her mom, and her mom said I could give her a little piece of candy. I told her I was going to take her picture. I took a picture of the mom, though, because she came dressed as Silk. Anyway, we all ended up waiting at when you get the McCormick Place, underneath McCormick Place is a metro stop.
Mm-hmm.
And that's underneath it. There is, you go down from to the main floor, the entry floor, and there is a waiting area for Metro. And they were in the same area. So I saw them and I, waved at her again. And she wanted another picture. And I was like, well, what do you want? And she wanted me to draw Silk because that's the character her mom came dressed in. And I said, okay, for you, I will do Silk. And the dad was going to come the next day. And when I got there, it's like, you know what? I'm not working on this Silk because he couldn't remember as many times that he had me repeat it. He couldn't remember the booth number. So it was like, well, you know what? If he shows up, I'll do the Silk. If not, no harm done. And sure enough, about, what was that, about 12 something, Courtney? The girl's dad shows up, asks for the Silk, and I was working on the Storm. And it's like, well, I've been working on this, but if you give me a couple of hours, I'll do a Silk for you, and you can come back and get it. And it was so funny because a couple of people had come and seen it after I'd done it, and it was just a simple pen and ink drawing of her. And except I did the two fingers on each for her costume that are red. I did those in red, and then her mask is red. So I used red pencil for that because I thought it would kind of pop against the ink. Um, he he said he would be back at 3:30. He shows up at 4 or something. And he
See, she
wants
she leaving a lot of stuff out.
he wants
She's
the
leaving a
Silk
stuff
now.
out.
The thing is, he almost lost it because after I worked on it and sat it down, at least two other people came and made me offers on it and wanted this. And I was like, well, no, this is a commission I made I promised this little girl I was going to draw Silk because her mommy was a Silk and she was here. And I just, and I had enough people ask about it where we were kind of like, if this dude isn't here by 3:30, that's it. The Silk, she's up for grabs. And I just put her down where people could see her more easily when he showed up. Because I guess his wife must have called him while they were at the con and went, "Did you get the picture?" Because the wife and the daughter wanted this picture. The little girl wanted it because it would be Silk, which her mommy was dressed, and the wife wanted it because the daughter asked for it, and I told her I would do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really, it had me cracking up because it was like, dude, you don't know how close you came to losing this. He goes, yeah, and they'd have killed me. It was like he couldn't go home if he didn't get that Silk. He was not gonna make it home. Okay, that's not me.
No, that was me and people.
Oh,
It's like people with these scam calls are just like, yeah.
I've been getting a lot of weird emails. Some email, they were talking about billing me for 600 and something dollars. And it's like, okay, there's a PDF and it's not even Adobe. I'm not looking at it, because Charles has said,
Mm-hmm.
no, the problem is you click that PDF and it could, it could be something in it that it's not really a PDF. It could shut your phone down, mess up your computer, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, nope, you know. So, and it bothered me though, because it came, we were done on Sunday, and that came in my inbox on Monday. It's like, did somebody pick up my address from C2E2? You know, but it's
Yeah,
like, no,
it could be. Yeah, it could
no,
be.
because there's,
It's just the way that the if I could say it, the way of information now. Stuff gets sold. You don't know who has what. Yada yada
yeah,
yada. And it's also another way for all of these so-called security programs and products to make their money. Oh,
yeah,
we
it's
will help you block them and remove all this other stuff. It's like, no, again, it shouldn't have been sold the way that they've been selling here, because major corporations and major government outlets should not have all of these different loopholes and openings for their servers for the information.
yeah. And a lot of the companies that talk about helping you like get that stuff off, the reason they can get it off as fast is because half the time they're the ones selling your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just be aware of that. It's these aren't angels out there looking to help you. They can do it that fast because they've had a hand in it, and they figured out, they put it out there, and then they charge you to take it off. So, better to spend that time and take it off yourself than paying all these guys to do it for you, because they're the ones who put it out there. So they make money coming and going. Okay, they're not doing it because they're good guys and they care. But it was interesting doing that. The storm was a challenge. As much as I hated you for it, it was a challenge, and it was good to say that I got it done, because I was not raised to be a comic book artist. There were kids when I was like third, fourth grade, middle school. Boys often drew comic book characters, but as a girl, if I started to draw a comic book character, teachers would immediately snatch the paper and go, "That's not what girls do." You
Yep.
know, I could draw little fashion models all I wanted to, but if I started drawing Supergirl or anything like that, it'd be, no, 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 that's not ladylike. You don't do that. You should be doing fine art. So getting into comics and the creation part, I came into just 20 years ago. For people going, well, why it's taking you to get this far? It's because it's taken me that long to get to the point where I could say, well, maybe I can do this. But it's I have as because of that, I can work on my own stuff, but drawing established characters, I've always had kind of a thing in my brain where I had developed a fear of it. So to do those little pieces was a real challenge for me. Courtney will tell you there were things I would draw them and tear it apart because it's not good enough. She would have to say stop, and don't do that.
See, that's what made me kind of feel bad, because you made me feel bad that whole afternoon, because you were up there like, I'm mad at you. I was like, for what? And it's like, okay, fine, we're just going to do this together. It's like, I'm going to draw a
That was
different version of Storm, and I drew two different versions of Storm. And you
if
know
you
what she
hadn't
went
done
ahead and did? Yours is better than mine. It's like, no, it's not.
he did it faster, and he did. I started Friday. I didn't finish until Sunday. Because I work as the way I do other paintings and stuff. I start with the sketch, and then I'm doing the underpainting, and and I'm getting all my broad strokes done, and then I'm slowly refining it so it takes shape. And you're telling yourself, trust the process, trust the process, trust the process. I work in a I've been trained to work in a different form than comic book art, and I've seen speed paintings that people have done of comic book characters, and I've just went, oh, I can. Afua Richardson was there. Okay, I took her some peach cobbler, and then brought her a bottle of water. I couldn't go. In my heart, part of me wanted to go up to her like a little kid after I'd done it. Go, what do you think of my Storm? And it's like, this woman has drawn Storm phenomenally well. There was no way. If she'd have just even looked like she was going to go, that's not good enough, do it again. I'd have just ripped it apart and I don't know, thrown myself off I'd have just thrown myself down the escalator or
See,
something and
you,
committed
you have
suicide. I just couldn't have handled
you
it.
have to come and hang with me more often. You want to know why?
Why?
Because I did that before.
You threw
And
yourself down an escalator?
if Fu had told me nice little stories about one of the people who talked to me before he died, which was Neil Adams. He was not he was not one of those people that'd be like, "What do you think of this?" Because he will rip you apart. I have shown a full some of my drawings, and the thing about it is not about the thing about showing other people drawings is that you have to be willing to accept. How can you say
You have to be able to accept the criticism.
constructive criticism?
And I, for me, criticism has, as a kid growing up, when I've drawn things, um, family, people I grew up around, it was, oh, that's Elaine's little art thing. It wasn't anything anybody respected until, excuse me, I became an adult and started doing desktop publishing. And then suddenly people needed stuff done, that I could have charged $400 to $1,000 for. And suddenly they wanted me to do for them or friends of theirs for absolutely free. Sitting here doing $400 worth of work. And then the person loving what I did and they were going, oh my goodness, it's like I do this whether a client pays me or I do it for free. It's important that the job is done right. And then
Mm-hmm.
being yelled at, why did you do that? You make them feel bad. It's like, well, they should have felt bad because you wrote me into doing, I thought I was doing it for you. And then it turned out I was doing it for your friend.
Right.
And I had to create this invitation thing with artwork and fonts and a layout and all of that and everything. And it's like, if you'd have gone to any print house and asked for this would have cost you on the cheap $200. And that doesn't include getting it printed. That's just the layout and putting it together.
And you
That could have,
barely gained a ham sandwich and Kool-Aid.
basically, that's what I got. Because I had John with me, she bought him a frozen lemonade from McDonald's and then had the nerve to look at me like somehow I'd insulted her friend. And it's like, and all I said was, I take pride in my work, whether I'm being paid for it, I'm doing it pro bono.
Right.
And
Yeah,
somehow this was an insult,
people don't
and it's like,
understand.
okay, that's your guilt. Girlfriend, that's your guilt because
No, people don't understand what pro bono really is. We do it for free, but we're doing it for free for a reason. It might be just to get the work out there. It might be just to kind of say that we did something for the experience aspect of it. But in the bigger scheme, we are trying to get something out of it. It's not one of those things that we always would say, oh, we have to do this for, we doing this on the cheap or doing it for the free just because we want to be doing it.
and it's and the person asked me, why'd you do it for them? And it's like, A, you put me in a position where I couldn't say no. And B, if other people came and liked what I'd done, maybe that person would say, oh, I talked to this person and she did it for me. And then when they called me and said, hey, you did so and so's invitations and all of that, can you do that for me? And it's like, well, I did that as a favor. If you want me to do this, and I've had people turn me down because it's like I've done something for someone for a favor, and then had someone else call me and say, oh, I saw what you did, that was really amazing, I'd like. And it's like, great, fine, we can sit down, have an appointment, I'll consult from you and I'll consult for free. But the actual work is going to cost you. And had people go, oh, well, I'll talk to you later. It's like, okay, you go on up to this, at that point, Office Depot was still around. So it's like, yeah.
Office Depot or FedEx, Kinko's, or any other place. It's like, yeah, you're going to be paying money up the yin yang.
And they don't do the desktop publishing. All they do is make copies for you. So you still have to have someone sit there. If you want artwork, you've got to, that takes work. There's reasons why we cost what we do, because you have to tell me what you want. What's the event like? Is it going to be formal? Is it going to be very informal? Okay. Do you want artwork? Do you not want artwork? Do you just want lettering? And then I got to take you through all the different fonts that I have. What do you want? What are you trying to convey? What wording do you want? Do you just want lettering? Do you want little diddly bits on around the edges of stuff? That's layout stuff I had to teach myself, and it takes time. It's not something someone can do for you in 5 minutes, and so that's why people charge what they do, because that's work, and you have to take it from start to finish. Because yes, you can sit and do the layout. Do you just want it on one side? You want layout on both sides? Is it something they're going to have? Is it just an initial envelope and the mail in? Is it a postcard? Is it something someone's going to call or mail back? How is this going to happen? And then you have to go get it printed, which means somebody's got to sit there and explain to the printer in terms they understand how it needs to be printed and how many you need, and work out that price. That's not something just anybody to do. And yes, you can print if you know how. You can buy the paper and print it out. But a lot of people could do that. There are a lot of jobs I would have never had to do. Because
Well, put it this way: if we have the money for the machinery and all the other stuff that we may need, we would be putting a lot of businesses out of business. Well, a lot of companies out of business. Like, for example, if I had my own printing presses, I wouldn't need places like Kablam, stuff like that. But those things cost money.
Oh yeah. My hope is to get. I found instructions on how to get the problem with my Epson,
Uh-huh.
and it's the one that uses pigment ink, not the dye-based ink. So it's a fine art printer,
Mm-hmm.
but the nozzle's clogged, and it's $500 to $1,000 to send this back to Epson and have them do the work and then ship it back to me.
Mm-hmm.
But recently, instructions have come up how to unclog the nozzles yourself, depending on
Your
the
make and model.
model you have, because
Mm-hmm.
some of them you can't remove them. And I've got to open it up and see if I can remove it, because I love this thing because it scans 11 by 17. It'll print 13 by 19.
Mm-hmm. That's what we need. 13 by 19.
It
I'm
prints
looking at my
13 by
13 by 19
19,
printer here.
and it scans up to 11 by 17, which is why I love it. I love she's a big ass thingy, but if nothing else, when I'm working on the book, I can draw my 11 by 7. I can draw my Bristol board, and with Courtney's help, I can scan that puppy in. She helps, and I get it done a lot faster with her help, because otherwise it's get up, walk over to the scanner, set it up, put the page in, close it, come back over here, pull it up. It's like what normally takes me 25-30 minutes takes me less than 10 with her, because I'm not getting up and going over there making sure, or if it's not quite, then I got to get up and reset it and stuff. And it makes it, like I said, I've got to get. I've got to look. There's I think it's alcohol. You need a specific type of alcohol. If the nozzles come out, you need a specific type of alcohol. And I would rather pay the $120 or whatever for the ink, if I can get the nozzles unclogged,
Mm-hmm.
to get it back up and running again, than to buy the next model up, because the next model up, I paid like what, $500-$600 for this one. The next model up is like 1,300.
Yep.
You
Because
know,
once you get
plus the
past,
ink, plus the inks. By the time I've bought enough ink to work her out, I'm talking. You're looking at about $1,600-$1,800, because I
mm-hmm.
also have to have it It's this isn't something I would trust to just anybody to deliver. Because if you these things are very art printers are very sensitive. You knock them the wrong way and you basically just got a brick. They won't even scan. You have to be very careful with these things. So, but yeah, I've already got a lot invested in her. I'm hoping I can get these nozzles worked out. I've been dreaming if I make you a dinner, if I make you a dinner, can I like tempt you to come over and help me take a look at this and see if we can get it done?
I don't know because I'm up here more along the lines. I got my 13 by 19 printer. I got my flatbed scanner here, which does 13 by 19. I could put a full Bristol board up in it, scan it, and keep on moving.
Well, she's like I said, she's an Epson. She'll scan 11 by 17. She'll
Mhm.
print 13 by 19. She does not scan that big, but she's an all in one.
Mhm.
And like I said, she takes pigment ink, so she can I can print what's those direct to film.
Right.
I can do that because you can buy those by the sheet and do them like this is DTF. You
Mhm.
can buy the sheets for this and you just run them through the printer and then with an iron you lay
Iron
it
on.
down.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've actually done some t-shirts for people doing
See,
that, so she'll
my
do
printer
that.
is specifically photo printing. That mine is a professional Canon photo printer. So it's a
Ah,
professional 13 by 9, 13 by 19 photo printer.
she will scan and print. I can do art prints that are it's archive, it's pigment, so it's archival.
Hmm.
And so long as and she'll take that she'll take that cotton paper that you can get from that you have to order from Blix because they don't always have it in the store, so you have to order it from
Well,
them.
what was the type of paper that I like here? It was like luster paper or something to that magnitude for like photos, or like deep,
Oh
deep, deep
yeah.
photo.
Oh yeah, that stuff's not cheap.
Mm-mm.
That
That's
stuff.
the reason why I got this particular printer because we went to an actual photo place and we was looking at all the different ways you could print photos and all this other stuff, and they had it on a sale for like $600.
Well, she'll print photos and I've got photo paper. It's
Hmm.
the photo paper I have is matte though. She'll print on shiny. I just don't have any shiny paper. I have the matte paper.
Matte is okay. I don't
I've
like
got
matte
the matte
paper
because
because
I was
matte paper have
doing
a tendency to bleed.
she doesn't it doesn't bleed because this is pigment as opposed to dye. So it lays the pigment on the top as opposed to the dye, which is more liquid and it melts in it goes into the paper,
Hmm.
where this is more like it's more like the old it's more like the old photo paper. So you have a layer. um you can see that there's that the change in the paper, it's like a layer on top as opposed to embedding the ink into it and so it bleeds in. This is much different because you can use high quality art papers for this,
Hmm.
which is why I bought her when I got that. Yes, I will say that's the one thing I have to thank the Orange Cheeto for because I got that check and I invested it in a printer that within 6 months, because there were no thingies on there. There were no reviews saying that, hello, the nozzles will clog on this. And you have to learn to clean them. Now I'm finding about, yeah, they clog, but if you learn how to clean them, it makes, you can work around that. So I've got to pull up the instructions again. And I need help. I need help.
At least
Help
you
me,
don't have to worry
Obi-Wan
about you don't at least you
Kenobi.
don't have to worry
Help
about
me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
you don't have to worry about what I have to worry about, which is 8 different inks.
Yes, I do. She's got that many inks. The next one up has 10. I think the one I
Also,
wanted.
you do have the one. I don't think mine's this pigment is. It's I forgot what type of ink it is.
This is
It used
pigment ink.
It used 8 different types of ink here, and I just bought some more black for I could print like you know regular documents on it because why I can't use my color laser here because I don't have room for it.
I have two printers now because I have Bertha, who I can't get her to print, but she will still scan. And then I got a regular printer
Hmm.
for everyday printing. So if I'm printing out documents, script pages, business cards, because I would usually order my blank cards from Avery. I
Hmm.
used to just it's another thing I miss about not having an office store right around me because I used to just go to Office Depot, get the Avery blanks, and then print them and then print out my and then just print out my cards. But I'm out of Avery blanks. So
I don't think I have anymore. And then the ones that I do have, and this is one of the things that I miss here, because I don't have room for my color laser printer, because that's what I used to do my business cards. Just used my color laser printer, and the toner and stuff for that is not cheap either.
no, no, you are paying. Believe people think that artists, um, you know, the stuff we use that's archable, that's going to last 50 years and not going to fade on you and stuff like that. That is not cheap. Just to, if you're setting up a print shop as an artist just to sell prints, you're investing your initial investment between the paper, the printer, the inks and stuff. By the time you're done, especially nowadays because those printers are not cheap. Like I said, $500, that was a lot of money to pay for just the printer. Um, and even then, by the time I'd gotten paper, the printer, the inks, the transfer film and stuff, so I could do the t-shirts and stuff, that was easily $1,000 that I spent. Um, it is not, and nowadays you're talking anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000 just on a basic setup. And that does not include your computer and all your software. I use Clip Studio Paint. I pay for my Clip Studio Paint.
Hmm.
And I have an older version of some software because if I got the newer version, I wouldn't have all the Copic marker colors. I will have to say I'm an evil, evil woman because I have what is it again? Not Krita, not GIMP. What is it now? I've got Sketchbook. I've
Right.
got
Sketchbook
Sketchbook
Pro.
Pro. And it used to be Sketchbook Pro had a contract with Copic. And the earlier versions of Sketchbook Pro had every color that Copic made and they would give that library to you
Hmm.
as part of your thingy. And the last version of Sketchbook Pro that I paid for had that. You can get Sketchbook Pro now, but you cannot get the Copic library. And I was going to go ahead and pay the $25 via the Microsoft store to get the updated version, but I reached out to the company because the one thing I will say about Sketchbook is $25 to get the initial program, and then you register at the site, and they give you free updates every month, brushes and stuff like that. And it's great stuff, and they do still have tutorials you can take. The artists who create those brushes, they do short tutorials on things. If you are trying to find a starter program for someone like a kid or something, and you want to give them something that isn't free like Critter or GIMP because so much of that has to be built, I would say go with Sketchbook Pro. It's $25 and then you're done. And they will update. They will send you updates and they will send you, and they will send you emails. Hey, the new brushes that came out. Here are the new brushes and they're free. They just give you new brushes and stuff. And you don't have to take the brush. They'll send you an email. If you don't like the brush, you don't have to download it. Don't. But if you're just getting into it and you want to get a feel for working And it's a professional design program. But if it's something, you want to get a feel for before investing in, say, Clip Studio Paint or something like that, um, it's a great one to start with. There are works that I've done that I've only done because each software you use, I get a different feel. It's a different kind of working style. It's sort of the same. It's kind of the same thing, but kind of not. And there are things I can do more easily in one program that I can't do quite as easily in another. Um, so I have, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different programs that I use, between Clip Studio Paint and Painter Essentials. I have the latest Painter Essentials, and then Sketchbook Pro, and then Krita, GIMP, um, and I think I have one or two more, but that's already 5 different software
Mhm.
programs that I use for art. And I don't use whatever Microsoft has unless I just don't use that for the most part. I've got other things that I prefer that work better for me and the way in which I work. Um, but I'm weird that way. I will admit.
Yeah.
I'm weird that way. Joe is
I
the
get.
one that makes sense.
I don't know. I was just showing you what I had just in my drawer here. These are actually like matte finish playing cards and training cards that I could use on printers. The program that comes with it is now non-existent because the company went belly up.
Oh, that's
And
sad.
the way that the company worked is that they were the ones that did the paper, the actual paper for the paper and the layouts for the cards itself.
And they
So
had the
when
software
they
to
went
fit it
belly
on the
up, the
paper.
software also went belly up because of the simple
Ooh.
fact that you have to be able to register it for you to be able to print.
Oh, shoots.
So fortunately, I kept my serial number.
Okay.
So I could register and put my serial number in, but I can't get anything, any type of updates or anything. I can't get it, can't get any updates to format to particular printers and everything. So I have to make adjustments on the fly.
Yeah, I have that now with Sketchbook Pro because I haven't bought the latest version.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, I'm a bitch. I will say I'm a bitch because I will not let go of my Copics. Otherwise, I have to sit there and create that whole library to put it in a modern version. And because of that, I don't get the updates, and I can't get it. I'm still registered with them,
Mm-hmm.
but until I buy a new version of their software via the Microsoft Store, I can't download any brushes, and I can't, even if I bought that, I the brushes are not made to work with my old version of the software, and I really like that version. Like I said, I'm a nut for the Copic colors. I've been loving me the Copic colors. Um, so I just haven't done that. But I like my Avery account because they when I do work, they surprised me. They actually had I've got an account with them, so they whenever I do a design
Mm-hmm.
on their site, they keep my design. It makes it a lot easier for me. But I like Avery because I can go up into because sometimes you're the thing about Avery, even though it's something you can get for just about anywhere. Sometimes some printers don't always read it, like they don't understand what you're doing if you do it on your computer and then tell the printer, it's like, oh, I can't print for that. So if I go to Avery and I
Mm-hmm.
tell them what size card or whatever, I give them the number for it and then just do the mock-up with them and then send it down to my printer suddenly is like, oh, I know what that is, and it's done. It's like,
That's
okay.
like, in my case, it would be more along the line. Oh, you got the paper up? You got that paper up in there? Let me go ahead and help you out and print it.
So
No, that's how I feel about Avery. Avery was just that way.
I love Avery though, because if I'm printing, even with my little cheap printer, if I'm just printing out, I can work on it online and then just download it for the printer
Hmm.
and it'll print out for me so long as I've got that card. As long as I've got that card, they'll if I've got the blanks, it'll print out and I can just work it out on the Avery site. And that makes it a little easier for me. I actually have those. I have those direct. I still have those direct to film thingies if you want them.
No, because I don't have a printer that can do it. That can technically do that.
Your printer, you. I thought you had a. Oh, she's not pigment ink.
Right.
So yeah, you need something that does pigment ink in order to print that out correctly.
That is correct because I have a sneaky suspicion because this is more of a photo printer, it will smear all over the place.
Oh yeah, it might. What I can do is next time we see each other, I can give you a few sheets, and if you want to run a test,
Hmm.
you can run a test and see if she'll work. I'll happily give you a few sheets because they're just sitting here. Until I can get until I can get Bertha sorted. That stuff, all my stuff was just sitting here. I'm not using it. you
Right.
know and if I can't get it sorted, then I've got this material I can't use. So I would rather give it to you and let you use it than just have it just sitting here just collecting dust, because that's like money I spent that's just going down the tube. I would rather just give it to you, or if you know somebody else who's got the stuff and can use it, give it to them. I've thought about, because Common has the school over here off 75th Street.
Hmm.
I thought about going over there and saying, "Hey, I've got some supplies," you know, because it's supposed to be a school for arts. So it's like, "Hey, I've got these supplies. Can you print this here?" Do you have any advanced students who can do this? Here you go. Yeah, I'll even teach a class on how if you need it. You know, but if
No,
you
I was
if you
thinking
can
about the
use any of
people.
that
I was
stuff,
just thinking about the people who could do a lot of this stuff here, and it's like, yeah, I think they got supplies, but if they mention to me, I might bring it up to them and be like, hey, I know somebody over here who got this.
I miss. There were times when I miss the desktop publishing side of what I
I
used
don't.
to do. I do kind of miss it because it challenges for me. It challenges my brain because it's one of the things I like about doing my own book covers and stuff.
Hmm.
Be- Now I have to think about, okay, how's this composition going to work for this book? And it's got to go in something this size, and I've got to be able to put what you need to see at such a height, and then still get my name and the title and all of that where you can read it and still see enough of the artwork to understand what's going on. So, you know, I find I like that challenge, but I guess I'm weird that way.
No, that part I don't mind. I just don't like certain software where it's like you have your idea and then the software that you have is so limited that you can't do it.
Ah, okay. Well,
That's the reason why
like,
I say I don't like desktop publishing. It's like, give me, uh, you know, the stuff out of Adobe that I used here. Like, I could deal with the Photoshop. I could deal with the dang it, I can't even think about it. I could deal with Premiere. I could deal with a lot of the video editing type stuff, but the I could deal with Illustrator, but don't give me Microsoft Publisher. Microsoft Publisher was very, very limited, and I learned that the hard way dealing with websites.
yeah,
Because publisher allows you to do websites, and I was like, oh, this make things easier. Now I got my
you can
fonts and
do
this,
a
that, and the other.
very
And then when I
basic
started working on it,
mock-up.
it's like, it's limited. I can't do
I
the
can
new
do
fancy
a
stuff.
mock-up, but trying to get what I've done in Publisher up on the web, because especially nowadays, um, as I was explaining to a friend, I had to learn PHP
Mhm.
back in the day because when I was doing websites for people or working on someone else's website, That was a conversation I was having, I think Sunday, I had to learn how to do, we were talking about doing PHP, and when you have to marquee something, and a marquee, for those of you who don't know, in the old website days, you could do fancy things on your website if you knew the right programming. And a marquee was what we would call is a message that scrolls across. You have your landing page, and it's a message that's scrolling across your page.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to our website. Well, back in the days of .php, you had to learn, and it was it was similar enough to DOS. And back in the old days of computing, after COBOL, you had to know DOS, because even for basic word processing, you had to know DOS if you were going to put together a document. And you had to center this. So you not only had to know what you were writing in that title, but you also had to know the code for where you started, centered in that area, and where you finished. And did you have and back in the old days, you had very limited fonts. You had to know which font you wanted. And it would, things that people now write in 25 minutes used to take 2.5 hours, just because you had to make sure the coding was right in order to get you could type it all out, but then you also had to work on the layout. And that's how I learned computing. He learned computing because one day I had to stop doing something I was doing so I could make him dinner, and came back in the room, and I don't know how he did it. I tried to recreate it and could not. He got it, and I came in and he was smiling and giggling, and it's like, what? And he goes, ha ha ha. And I was like, what are you doing? And he took me by the hand and brought me to the computer, and he put his finger on this key, and he had set it up so that as it scrolled down, it went like this, and I'm like, and this was on a Trash 80.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, a Trash
TRS 80.
80, it was a Tandy, a Radio Shack, because Tandy,
Right.
a TRS 80, and they used to call it and it was a trash dump system, because I had a TRS 80 and a DMP, which was their dot matrix printer. And all together, folks I knew who were computer nerds would go, oh, you have a trash dump system. It's like, hey, it was given to me for free. Beggars can't be choosers. And like I said, he was two. He was two. And he got it to do this. And he was just smiling, going, oh, look what and, oh, and like, you can barely speak words, and you're doing it. It's like, and I tried, and it was like, could not get it to do right. And he did it, and it was like, oh, I could just kill you. You're so smart. I birthed that brain. And the thing is, ladies, when you have a baby, they take some of your brain from you. Your brain shrinks, and they take some of your smarts away. So whatever smarts I should have had, he took. He took, and he won't give it back. That's the hard thing. They don't give it back to you. They take it, and you lose it. You don't get it back. So he could do all that stuff at 2. I was still just, getting DOS.
I'm sorry, because I just find it's amusing, but I get it. It's amusing, but I still understand and get it.
And the funny thing about it is, most of my friends at that time worked in the computer field. One
Mm-hmm.
guy he was a programmer for one company, and then did part-time work for Lucas. So he did part-time work at Skywalker. I forgot who he worked for full-time, but he did additional part-time work for Skywalker. Sound. He was a sound droid. He had a cart that said sound droid for Skywalker. Other friends were software adjusters, because back in the day, we go way back. Don't watch out for the boy, he poops. A company would create a bit of software, like Oracle, and then say your computers were Hewlett Packard. Oracle would just do general software. So in order to be able to use that software on your Hewlett Packard or your or your Tandy computers, because Radio Shack sold computers to consumers and Tandy sold business computers. So Radio Shack was the consumer arm of the Tandy Corporation.
Exactly.
And if Tandy wanted, you had two companies that were using at heart the same program, but everybody, it used to be everybody had their own version of DOS. So you would have to adjust the software to work for this person's version of DOS. And then if that company wanted to use that same software, you would have to then adjust the program for their version of DOS. So they had companies whose job was somebody wanted to get Adobe, what Photoshop. You would send it off to another company. You would buy Photoshop from their company and then send it off to another company so they could adjust the software to work with your computer system.
And it's weird because now since you bring it up, it's like TRS-80 was the competitor for the Commodore 64.
Yes. My grandma had a Commodore 64 my Uncle Samuel bought for her, and they used to work on a magnetic tape.
Mm-hmm.
As opposed to
we should say magnetic tape, the cassette recorders.
Yeah. And she had it, and of course it was like, and I would like, oh, that's it. Nope, don't you come near it. Stand up. Don't breathe in that direction. I used to be so afraid of computers because everybody would be like, no, you can't touch that. Don't look at it. If you get too close, I used to be afraid that if I got too close to it, just being in a proximity, it would explode. Because obviously, my level of stupid was destructive for computers. Though Hello taught herself DOS just to learn word processing. And I had to learn word processing first on the trash dump, and then I got a Brother word processor. The old Brother word processors were like mini computers because you could do word processing. You could keep a calendar. You had a couple of little programs that you could do.
You could do some limited spreadsheets.
Yes, but you had to know how to do. If you didn't know basic DOS, you couldn't do this thing. It was a little more simplified, but knowing DOS still made it easier to do the early Brothers. As they got better, you didn't need. Nowadays, because of GUI's, graphic user interface, you don't need to know DOS. But back in the day of computing, when we were still throwing rocks at each other, you had to know DOS. Okay, that's my old computer lady voice.
Oh, well, I know that's the old lady. But then again, I'm up here. It's like now you're making me go back to like, yeah, the early days of WordPerfect, where you have to know key commands for carriage returns, for bolding, for italicized.
And Brother used WordPerfect. The old Brother machines used WordPerfect because at that point, Microsoft Word was still getting underway, and it was exceptionally proprietary. So they were very, if you didn't buy a computer, and as always, if you bought a computer, you always had to pay. I think originally, depending on what type of computer you got, you might get Word for free. But then as Microsoft started developing, a larger branch of software, and they developed the whole, Microsoft bundle. You couldn't get any, you had to pay for the bundle. It used to be if you just wanted Word, you could get Word. And then it was like, oh, wait, no, we have Word. We have,
That's like, we have created this bundle called Office.
Yes.
And now you have to buy it by Office. But early days is like Excel. Excel came about because of Quattro Pro. And I'm sorry if you remember Quattro Pro. Quattro Pro was the standard in spreadsheets. And
Yeah.
the only reason I remember that is because when I was in high school, I was part of the summer program, and that's what we kind of used to keep track of data and stuff was Quattro Pro.
The smartest thing he ever did was develop a GUI, but it was they were kind of playing catch up with Apple at that point because
No, they were playing
Apple,
catch up with Xerox.
yeah,
Xerox
but
was the original innovator of the quote unquote Windows system that we had right now because that was what they used on their Xerox machines.
Wozniak and those guys at Apple got it out first, and then
Mm-hmm.
it was kind of, and then for what we now say is PC, it became kind of a Me Too situation. But Wozniak and them were the first ones who looked because they all had gone there around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and what a lot of people forget is, yes, Steve Jobs was the front man of the company. He was his front man for Apple, and he wasn't stupid. He at least understood it. But Wozniak was the brains. He was the brains and the innovator. And Wozniak was the one that said, "Hey, if we can take this GUI thing and make it the basis of what we do, we can grab a good portion of this market that's opening up and keep it, you know." And hello, and and that's when Microsoft was like, "Oh, okay, if we do that for the people who don't want to spend as much on an Apple machine, we can do that for the rest of them." But it for a while there, especially in the early days, when they were putting it all together, it was kind of like a Me Too situation.
Mm-hmm.
you know, Apple would do something and then boop, Microsoft, it's like, oh, they can do that on the Apple. Hold on, give us 6 months, we'll make it so you can do it on the PC. So, but the thing, what I love, and it was interesting because for a short time you had the best of both worlds. You had the more affordable PCs, though they weren't that much more affordable. Um, and you could run like you could get iTunes on your PC. And because at one point, because I had iTunes, I had Safari. And as a browser, I much preferred Safari. I liked Safari. It was more elegant. It was, Netscape was never my favorite, but I preferred it to certain other things. Um, you know, though I do miss the days. The thing I miss most about AOL is you could program it so that when you turned your machine on, you could customize, and you turned on AOL, you could
Mm-hmm.
customize how it greeted you. And I had Mojo, was it Mojo Jojo? You know, so I would turn it on, and goes, and I come and I go, and then I would turn it off and goes, go ahead, get out of here, bye. You know, in the Mojo Jojo voice. I miss being insulted by Mojo Jojo. I'll admit it. I'll admit it. I
Mm-hmm.
miss Mojo Jojo insulting me as I logged on to AOL and all. I do miss that. That was fun. And I don't know how to do it now. So that I can, I gotta figure out how to set up my thingy so I can turn it on. And, you know, I don't want the Mr. Burns, hello, Smithers, you are good at turning me on. Do you remember that episode?
Yes, I do remember that.
There are times when I thought I would love something like that, just not Mr. Burns. It's like if I could get my dream man to say that, yeah, it would be so great. How much would it cost me to get you to do that, Joe?
I don't know. I'm looking at some other things here because I was like, oh, my stuff that I sent over to CGC, they just now start processing it. So a couple of months from now, I know what my books that I sent to them, kind of like the covers that I did during C2E2 this year. I got more coming and some other books coming that I needed graded.
My hope is if I can make enough money, I would like to get, once I've got the entire series of And the Coming of Nighttime done,
Mm-hmm.
is get all of those graded have an issue of each of them and have them graded and put in the thingy.
Put it in
That
a
would be
frame.
nice. Yeah, framed and
It's the
graded.
doubloon. You remember the doubloon?
It would be that I would love to have that. Just it for me, it would be like the
Mm,
record producer who has gold record has
right.
a gold record of all the stuff he's produced. It would be like, yes, I'd love to have that on my wall. I would have it behind me. I would have it behind me, and you could see it. Of course, hopefully by that time I will have forwarded the money to buy my own place.
Well, I took the boxes off of it, or else you would be able to see kind of sort of the books that I have done, but you can't see it very well because of the glare of
It's
the
got
light.
that shiny glare.
Shiny glare, but it
It's
is what it is.
splendid. And I just realized what time it is, and we have not watched Underdog.
No, we're not
Oh,
watching Underdog.
where? Oh, where?
I don't I don't have any clips of Underdog this time around, but we are going to talk about it because
Underdog.
there's no need to fear. Underdog is here.
And of course, sweet Polly Purebreds. Oh, where has my underdog? Where can he be?
But people also don't remember what other shows were shown during Underdog, such as Tennessee Tuxedo.
Yeah, Tennessee Tennessee Tuxedo and never fail.
Yes,
Tennessee Tuxedo and Tutor the Turtle.
mm-hmm.
Yo, Mr. Wizard. Twizzle,
twazzle, twaddle. Time for this one to come home. Yeah.
Be just what you is and not what you's not. Folks, that was is the has the happiest lot. Hello, Weasel.
Yeah.
And I'm older than him.
And then the Misadventures of Commander McBride.
Oh, that's right, with the Indians and stuff.
Oh, two little Indians. No other around. Two little Indians jumping all around.
I keep forgetting how it goes.
Go! It's called the show is called Go Gophers.
Yes, Go Gophers. Love Go.
I just can't remember. I don't remember the very beginning of the song, but it's like
I will look and see if
here comes the colonel and the sergeant. something. Go Gophers. Watch them go Gophers. Go.
I will look it up. If I find it, I will post it to the chat.
But I think that's the problem with the vault. What's this? This is the 3-volume Underdog set that I got here. It's all Underdog. It doesn't have like the other undercard type stuff. Well, it does have I did not know Klondike Cat was a part of it too.
Yes, Klondike Cat always gets his mouse.
Right. Savoir faire is everywhere.
I know. We sounded really weird. Hey, you know what? We didn't have those cards. We didn't have what you guys have now. Okay. We had to make our fun often with sticks and mud and drinking out of water hoses, and that for us was intelligent entertainment. So, somebody's mom was going to write me a really nasty note after this.
When I sit down, I am right as rain, but when I stand up, everything goes around and around. No, but that I was like, I just happened to see that the episode, one of the episodes that they mentioned on the box was Round and Round, and I forgot what they did to Underdog, but it's like Underdog when it was something that they did where every time he stood up, he would get this weird vertigo.
It was something Simon Bar-Stanister did.
Hit him with it. It's like he had.
It was a vertigun or something. I can't remember. It was something. It was a gun of some sort that they shot him with. I think some sort of weird ray gun that they shot him with. I think. Oh my goodness! It's been so long since I've been able to. I've got to now look and see if I can find Underdog. We have Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Well, like I said, I have this mini collection here of the 3 DVD set here. I have
you
that,
are in danger.
But again, because of YouTube, I don't think we would do enough commentary to get around get around the whole thing about community standards and everything. So
You
that's
have to
the
do
only
at
reason
least
why I didn't
5
play it.
minutes worth of commentary for every 3 to 4 minutes that you show.
Right. And then they don't have the other episodes that I like about with Underdog. It's like Simon says, "Go slow," and you hit him with the slow gun, and be like, "I was like, we gotta get away." It's like, "Hurry up, we gotta go get him."
The secret compartment of my ring, I fill with an underdog
Underdog
super
for
energy
energy
pill.
pill.
Probably a lot of kids got into drugs because of underdog and the super energy pill.
But the thing about it is like this cartoon did lead to a somewhat decent live action one that just did not just take very well.
So I love the cartoon, and I will admit I did not watch the live action. I
The
just
live
I
the live action movie it just didn't hit well, and then it was also a waste of Peter Dinklage.
ooh, that's
Peter
sad.
Dinklage played Simon Bar Sinister.
Ooh, now I got to look it up because I like me some Peter Dinklage.
He played Simon Bar Sinister. I was like, good pick, but they wasted him in this movie.
And that's bad when you've got a good actor and you realize he's been wasted. It's like,
You got a good actor, and then you made Underdog have like an actual owner and a son, and the son of the owner found out that his so-called beagle is the underdog.
The problem is when you don't trust the material
Mm-hmm.
and you think you know better. And it's producers, really, if you don't want to trust the material, don't mess with the IP.
And that's what they did.
Go
They
make
messed with the
something
IP.
else. You shouldn't. There's a reason this stuff worked, and it will work again, but you have to trust it. Okay, if you don't want to trust it, fine, go find something else to mess with. But it was working for a reason. It was good for a reason. When you get up and screw with it, that's when stuff starts falling, because you think, oh, wouldn't it be funny? No. There's I just saw some conversation where somebody was talking about, somebody was bitching about the way someone else made a movie. And I literally jumped up and said, bitch, if you could have done better, you'd already done it. Shut up. And I'm like, I'm sitting here watching TV. Why am I getting mad? It's this is a video that he made whenever. He doesn't know what I'm saying. He can't hear me. It's not like all of a sudden he's sitting there enjoying dinner and my words just smack him in the head. So that would be funny. He's sitting there, he's eating dinner with his family. Goes, oh my God. Wouldn't it be great to have that power? Just drive.
Or better yet, your words goes back in time as they were filming it, and he's in the director's chair, and then it's like, yeah, we're about to go, and pow! Oh my goodness, I have a brilliant idea.
Why don't we go back to the actual material and respect it? But like I said, it that kind of cracks me up. It's like, if you could have done better, you'd be there doing it.
Well, I just look at IPs like this is a decent IP to try to do a live action movie, but they just did not execute it. They couldn't execute it the right way, because you have to suspend the fact that you have anthropomorphic characters.
Yeah, sweet Polly Purebet, and trying to do that as live action. You could do it maybe the way that, like they did with Zootopia, or something else. If you were doing it that way, yeah.
But all this came before Zootopia, and they wanted to use almost lifelike dogs here. So it's like, how do you explain a lifelike dog actually talking, actual beagle talking, and Polly Purebred talking, and standing upright on two legs, you know.
And she's wearing a suit. She's got a camera.
She's wearing a suit and is on television as a TV reporter. It's like, how does a
Heels,
dog become a television reporter?
and she's in heels, and
Mhm.
she's a blonde, and she's got on makeup, and she's got a microphone, and she goes with that microphone, and she's got her cameraman with her at all times. Um, which I used to wonder if they go on dates, is the cameraman there too?
Yeah,
Because
I
when
mean,
you're a kid, you
to me
think of
it
stupid stuff
works.
like that.
To me, they could have made this movie work because again, when he's not underdog, he was a shoe shine boy, and they made sure it's like Art Adventure starts today with shoe shine boy doing his normal job, and you see him sign somebody, so it's like, there you go, sir.
All
Excellent
done.
job, shoe size boy. They flip him like a dime or a quarter, and he bites into it to make certain that it was real.
It's not a piece of wood or something.
Mhm.
You are honest, and what was it? Thank you, shoe shine boy. You are honest, and
You no, you're kind and lovable.
yeah, something like that. And they would flip in the coin and go off, and he would,
But it's like,
you
bless you, sir.
and Ronnie Cox was the voice of the original underdog.
Hmm.
But I just, like I said, they when you don't respect the material and you think you can do it better, and then you
I think
realize,
that would hurt the movie because again, the movie you could have had Simon Bar Sinister, and they could have had Riff Raff too.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things they could have had if they had, and like I said, I'm thinking this because of the technology of the time, live action was not the
Was
way
not
to
there
go.
yet, but
It
again,
was
it's
not
just
the way to go
a
because
waste of Peter Dinklage as Simon Bar Sinister.
yeah,
It was a
The
waste.
CGI wasn't enough to make those characters where they could have interacted in that world, and you could have accepted that as that reality. It just wasn't
But
there at the point,
but that what ruined the movie to me was the fact that they added a boy and his dog type story. They
which was
attached that to
unnecessary.
that story about him, the so-called son that eventually adopted Shoeshine Boy, because that was the dog's name was actually called Shoeshine Boy,
But see, to
and they
me,
never understood why would they give the dog a weird name like that until it was proven that he was actually underdog.
and like I said, it in my opinion, it was unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
If they could have just trusted the IP, and it was like, this is what's the old saying, biting off more than you can chew.
Bullwinkle, the movie kind of worked.
Yeah, but Rocky and Bullwinkle kind of worked because they didn't use a real moose and a real squirrel.
Right.
Okay, if they'd have done with Underdog what they did with Rocky and Bullwinkle or Alvin and the Chipmunks,
Mm-hmm.
it would have made sense, and they could have sold it, and they would have made a decent enough movie. They could have at least recapped their investment, but they decided they knew better.
And that's
They
the
knew
thing.
better,
That's the
and
thing.
that's when you're hubris. You let your hubris
That's the
get
key
in the way,
thing, that the whole we know better that always gets me.
and then you wonder why audiences look at your stuff and go, thank you, I'm out. I think I've got to go home that day, wash my feet, and then watch my nails grow. I got a new fungus coming in. I want to make sure it comes out right. People, no, very few people went and saw that movie, and the critics panned it, especially critics who were at that time in my age group, where they were,
Mhm.
if I remember, they were particularly cruel. Because it was
But
like, this ain't my
again, because again, we were in a day and age that people wanted to see more of things that was true to the roots of series here. Just like how Masters of the Universe was was kind of panned. The first one, the first live action
The
movie.
one with Dolph Lundgren, and then was it
Right.
Jack
Mhm.
Palance as the Jack Palance was Skeletor, if I remember correctly.
Right. So
Um,
there it is. That's the underdog movie here, and it is and like I said, it's a waste of Peter Dinklage.
yeah,
Peter Dinklage was Simon Bar Sinister, a reason, and Jason Lee was the so-called was supposed to be like the boy that was supposed to be in charge of Shoeshine
is
Boy.
okay. So he was supposed to be Shoeshine Boy's owner.
Right. That's him right
Yeah,
there. That's the kid
yeah,
that owned that
that's a
owns
very young
Shoeshine
Jason
Boy.
Lee. Yeah,
And then you see that they're up here talking about underdog say somebody else, and they just didn't know they just didn't know what dog was actually underdog here, and he eventually came in contact with Shoeshine Boy, and Shoeshine Boy, was stayed with him, and he became the owner of Shoeshine Boy, and Shoeshine Boy happened to be the underdog that
underdog.
everybody else was looking for.
Give y'all a hint. In the cartoon, people didn't know Shoeshine Boy was underdog because he would pull a Superman and just take off his glasses. So that was kind
No,
of the joke.
he didn't take off his glasses and everything. He had an actual Shoeshine Boy outfit and everything, and
But I'm saying
he
the face was
he would go into a telephone booth and explode the whole telephone booth and become
and come out as underdog.
underdog.
But what I'm saying, it was kind of a Superman joke because the only
Mhm,
difference between Superman and Clark Kent, besides the uniform, was
mhm.
he put glasses on. And no one ever worked out. Wow, Clark looks a lot like Superman. No. They just automatically did we don't know who Superman is in his real life. So it's like, okay, fine. And that was kind of that to at least in my opinion, that was the joke. That was one of the
Mhm.
visual jokes with Underdog is because, Shoeshine Boy, he's got his glasses and stuff on, takes them off. Nobody made that connection. Um, there's Mr.
Yeah, a
Dinklage.
waste of a character.
Yeah.
It's him and Simon Bar Sinister. I forgot what the name of the two dogs were, but it's like the animals could talk to one another, but they couldn't talk
Talk to
to
the
the
people.
humans like normal. And I was like, yeah,
It,
yeah,
it,
they
it,
just didn't want to stick to they didn't want to stick to the normal.
if you
So
can't
yeah,
respect
uh, Dinklage as Simon Bar Sinister. Jason Lee was the voice of Underdog. Uh, Amy
Amy
Adams was the
Adams was
voice of Pure
Polly
Polly
Purebred.
Purebred. Hmm?
I said Amy Adams was Polly Purebred. Oh my
Yep,
goodness.
she was played as Polly Purebred. I forgot Patrick Warburton was Cat.
Was there
Patrick
anything
Warburton
Patrick
was Cat in this movie.
Warburton wasn't in back then? Every time you turn
Yes,
around, Patrick Warburton's butt was showing up somewhere.
yeah, Patrick Warburton. I also forgot that he also played the Tick in the live action version of the Tick.
Oh, that's right. That's right, he did. Um, Folks, if you can't respect the IP, leave it alone. Really. If you can't respect the IP, just leave it the hell alone. Believe me, you will save yourself money. The the you're not going to get called in to by some studio boss who will then spend the better part of the day cussing you out, because you've lost them money. You didn't even break even. Just leave it alone. Just leave it alone.
Yeah, but the only reason I brought it up because we was talking about Underdog, and I was like, yeah, they did do a live action movie, but everybody knows Underdog from the cartoon. I mean,
I
the cartoon was a classic Jay Ward type deal.
And I love me some Underdog. And like I said, I think I saw some of the commercials and it was like, I'm out. I just I couldn't be bothered. And it is 9 o'clock and I am still dealing with con crud. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a thing. It's a thing, believe me.
And I do
And I
have to
have to
get
get up
ready to
and go.
work. I do
I
have to
gotta
get
go
ready
to
for work
I
tomorrow and
gotta
everything.
get up and go to the I gotta go to local market and finish my shopping because Easter is friggin' Sunday.
Yes.
Okay. Easter is.
So you're going to have the full clan over, meaning that you're going to have Jeffrey and everybody over.
Jeffrey has not come over for some time now. That was his choice, and we wish him well, but that's his choice. Um, I'm waiting to hear from Charles's godmother.
Okay.
We met a lovely trans person at the con. They don't have anybody else to spend Easter. I almost said Thanksgiving again with, and I gave them my info and said, hey, if you need a place to be for Easter, I was cooking. But today we got the pie and the ice cream, but spent almost $25 on a ham that only a few short years ago wouldn't have cost me more than 10.
Wow. Inflation. And
it's not a big ham, but at least I can say it wasn't butt. So, because if I have to get a butt ham, then I pick on the kids and I'm like, yeah, we're eating ass tonight. That's it. And they look at me like, geez, Ma, can you put that in a better way? It's like, no, we're eating ass. Get used to it. But yeah, I'm doing ham, biscuits, roasting asparagus, mac and cheese, and a basic stuffing, and then for dessert, we'll have Dutch apple pie and vanilla ice cream and sparkling grape juice. And whether or not we sit and do it at the table together, or we just, I lay out the food and people just grab what they want and split.
They go to their designated spots and just enjoy and do whatever.
Yeah, if we have company, we sit down at the table and I lay it out with the china and the glassware and all that. If it's just going to be the four of us, we'll just grab our food and, I'll lay out a centerpiece. And other than that, we'll just grab our food and go. But.
All right. So here we go.
I guess I'll see you next week.
No, here we go. Now you can do your thing.
Okay. Thank you guys again for coming. I know we are such weird people, but you've learned things about computing and printers that you probably didn't know. So we was educational.
Yes, we need our EI. We need our EI thing to go up there with our TVMA. That's messed up. We're TVMA, but yes, we have an EI designation for kids.
Anyway, I'm Elaine. Let's get for one. I am here at YouTube. I'm getting where I am, Mr. Joe. Mr. J. I'm Elaine Hagen here at YouTube. Look me up. I'm also on Facebook. Go to my website, lenscaponline.com. I actually have at least 10 copies of And the Coming of Nighttime, the special con printing that I did with Kablam. And I am thinking of selling those. We're thinking of setting it up on the site where you can go to the site and put in your order. And if you want a copy of The Enslaved as well, we still have some prints. So I'm thinking we might set it up on the website that if people are interested in the books and what merch we have left, we might sell them that. Otherwise, I'm thinking I might set up some stuff at Redbubble. But either way, go to my website. Go down where it says contact us. That comes directly to my email. Nobody else sees it. Even the people at GoDaddy can't mess with that. And drop me a line. Hey, I think that's an idiot thing to do. Hey, yeah, I would buy that. Just help a sister out and keep me informed. Other than that, thank you again for coming. We love you. Whether you watch us live, whether you watch us later, doesn't matter. You took the time to watch us, and you didn't send hitmen for me to have to kill. Y'all have a good night. Catch you later, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
And that brings us to the fact that our show is brought to you by Jeffrey Hayes from Pacifier Graphics. If you need a cover for your brand new novel, your graphic novel, or comic book, hit up Jeffrey Hayes at Pacifier Graphics. Why? Because you want an award-winning artist to do your cover. Because why? His artwork will bring people to the table and ask you, what is this book about? And if you don't believe me, believe this video.
you've worked hard and written a great book. Now, it's time to give it a great cover. If you're an indie author or small press publisher, Plasmafire Graphics is your source for affordable cover illustration and graphic design. Plasmafire Graphics, when the look of your book matters to you.
You've seen those covers. He could do the exact same thing for you. So hit Jeffrey Hayes up at plasmafiregraphics.com. As far as I'm concerned, I will be back here Saturday for another episode of From the Desk of the Small Press Publisher. I did drop a hint about some of the things about that's going to be in the C2E2 recap here. However, that's not the crux of what we're going to talk about on Saturday. I end up getting some information directly from PSA, and we're going to talk about the slabbing controversy that's happening right now. And we want to talk about it a little bit more in depth here, because what I found out through PSA directly, because I did ask them particular questions here, may change your mind one way or the other about getting your books graded. But nevertheless, we'll wait until Saturday as far as that is concerned. As far as everybody here at Comic Book Spectrum, for Elaine, Cliff, and myself, I want to bid you guys adieu. Live life, grow, and be well. And unlike our founder, Brian K. Morris, I don't care if you wash your hands, but never, and I do mean never, apologize for being awesome. I'll catch you here next Thursday for another episode of Comic Book Spectrum. Have a good rest of your Thursday. And for those who watch From the Desk, I'll see you Saturday. Bye.